Well, season's greetings, everyone. I wanted to give you guys a well overdue update because the last one was back in October and things have got a little backed up since then. As I kind of alluded to before, there was a lot of entanglements, a lot of setbacks in getting things out. And so I want to kind of address how things have been going along in the last couple of weeks and tell you what's coming up on the channel. And again, a couple of little setbacks as well. But as of late, we've put out a lot of commentaries. We put out the one for Batman and Robin. We just dropped the one for Silent Night, Deadly Night. Today, as I'm recording this, I hopefully will have it out like right before the end of the day. But regardless, those are out now. You can enjoy that. And there will be another commentary with Steve and I. They'll be dropping on New Year's Eve that I'll get to in my media pickups to highlight there. But a lot of things to get into there. And obviously, I just dropped a review for Star Trek First Contact. I did say I was going to go off and do another horror review after I did Amazing Spider-Man. But it was taking so long to get things up on track for Amazing Spider-Man because of certain personal things that are happening. Nothing dire or whatnot, but just complications, obstacles, setbacks. That I felt like, okay, once I got Amazing Spider-Man done after it took like 3 weeks to get it all edited and stuff like that, it got jammed up with stuff. I want to get into something really quick. I know Star Trek, I could always get into it very quickly. I was kind of thinking after I did Undiscovered Country, I'd push Star Trek stuff way, way back. But I felt like, okay, I've been kind of push and pull about doing First Contact. I was going to do something. I was going to do like a Best of Both Worlds anniversary video because it had been 30 years since the whole Next Generation cliffhanger episode happened. Part 2 was the Part 2 episode was released in September of 1990, and so I was thinking about end of September, but obviously I wanted to get the review for the hidden done, so that got pushed off. And I thought, don't worry about it. No one gives a shit and everything like that. But obviously it came up to the point where I ended up buying the complete soundtrack for the whole thing with the Goldsmith score, and I just kind of get like, okay, yeah, it's starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel it. I want to do a little something here and get things done. I really want to get it up and explore some thoughts on it. So that's there and everything like that. So that's out there. If you want to watch it, go ahead and enjoy it. And the next video is the complication, because there's not a media pickup so much, but the fact of the matter is I've had this DVD for probably since it was released. Because this is the Vista Series Director's Cut version of Tombstone. Now this thing was put out somewhere around 2004 or something like that, I think. Roughly that case. It's been 15 plus years. I've pretty much bought this new. It's been in pristine condition all these years. And I put it in the second disc, which has all the behind the scenes featurette stuff like that. I sat down and watched that Sunday. Once I sat down to actually watch the film itself on the DVD, because this is I think they might put it on Laserdisc, but regardless, I wouldn't be ripping footage from the Laserdisc, and I don't have the Laserdisc, so that negates that. But they never put the director's cut out on any format beyond DVD. It's not on VOD. It's not on Blu-ray. This is it. And I put the disc in, and after, not even like a minute or two into the whole thing, it started stuttering, it started skipping, it started freezing up. I did everything possible. I was watching on my Blu-ray player. It at least loads the disc and starts getting to the menus and plays the preview trailer, stuff like that. Wouldn't play the film properly. My old DVD player from 2007 wouldn't even load the disc at all. It wouldn't work at all. And it was just the fact, I pulled the thing out, there wasn't a mark, there wasn't a scratch on the disc. I cleaned it off and put it back in. The exact same thing kept happening and happening and happening. So I checked the local resale, not all the local resale shops, but I spent enough time in one of them today, which I'll get to at the end of this whole thing. But I checked the ones I was closest to at the time where I was looking for things, and they did not have this anywhere. They did not have this DVD version of it. So I went on eBay, because I looked on Amazon first, and it's because out of print it was like $48. Not going to happen. But ultimately, there were some copies on eBay. I ordered it from a very trusted seller. I ordered from Declutter Store. Very reliable. I've dealt with them a ton of times. Not had a problem, so I went with a seller I trusted to make sure I was getting a good quality version of it. I have it delivered, so all I really need is that first disc and make sure it actually works, because I don't know what the problem is with this one. Because obviously by the fact that the special features disc works, and I don't think it's like any kind of like a disc rot problem or anything like that. It looks perfectly fine. I just don't know why it doesn't want to work. I haven't touched the disc in like 10 years probably, and it just wouldn't work. I mean, you can tell by the quality of this thing, I don't abuse my DVDs, the packaging, anything like that. This thing looks perfect as it was the day it was bought. But I did have, when I was stirring the idea around to do the review, I was kind of researching the comparisons on Capsaholic between the standard def and the HD Blu-ray, which is the theatrical cut only. I did get the Blu-ray of it, but again, it's only the theatrical cut, and it doesn't have the director commentary track on it. So that's a whole... one, I couldn't even rip the footage off the disc. I couldn't put it in the computer and rip the footage from it, so it's like I can't do any of it. Can't do anything with it. So I'm kind of like... I just didn't feel like I wanted to do less than, as Steve would always say in our commentaries, under different circumstances, but a less than optimal version of the review. I'd always kind of regret not having that extra component of the whole thing to talk about the director's cut, which has a couple of important scenes that do tie off certain plot elements in the film. It runs about 4 minutes longer and stuff like that, and also the commentary from George Cosmatos would be interesting, but it's not a tell-all thing because there's a whole bunch of other stuff with the production behind the scenes. But this is on pause until that version gets here from eBay, from Declutter Store, and it's probably going to be at least a week. So that's on pause until I get a version. Hopefully, the one that I've ordered will hopefully work in the drive, and there's not some other weird thing, but I don't know what the problem is. So that's where things sit right now, and I don't have anything else really to jump on right now, so I'm just going to have to coast through the rest of the week and kind of work on a couple little things here and there. So another setback and everything that adversely affected what I wanted to do in a quick turnaround. So as the thing was, I took 2 days off to make sure I could have some time off to really kind of try to get something done real quick or whatnot. Not super quick, but at least get a lot of headway right out the gate on something, and I haven't because I've been fooling around with other crap. So there's that, and there's other stuff. Obviously, I do want to get to, because where I left off on the last update was talking about the Scream Factory order I had pending, which did arrive early November. It did, and so I got obviously my copy of The Blob. But I sat down, started trying to engage with the film, and I was just either tired or just kind of scattershot in the head. I just couldn't really dig into it properly to really feel like I was going to be doing the review the best way I could. So I felt like I'm going to put this on pause, jump into Spider-Man, and then go into Star Trek after that, and kind of like keep this back when I'm going to feel like it. So the big thing about Tombstone was that because it was, the release date of the film was Christmas Day of 1993. It's not an even anniversary, but I was like, okay, that would have been nice if I could have managed to get that done. At least put on a Patreon by Christmas Day. At least would have been something. Would have been a nice little thing there to go like, okay, I get the thing done right on kind of this sort of 27th anniversary date. Would have been nice. So that's why I kind of put that ahead in the queue to kind of hit that spot. But obviously that's not going to happen now. So I'm not going to stumble and fumble over myself to kind of rush in to try and get something done. So it's not going to work. But so I got this version. I got this thing from Scream Factory, and there are things I got in my set because I fell short a little bit of their free shipping threshold, so I couldn't quite get everything up there to get that. But regardless of that, I still got a great deal on these whole things. Regardless of that, because I got Valentine, this whole early 2000s slasher film from the director of Urban Legend, where Urban Legend's one of those films I like for its potential. It's one of those old terms I used back in my WordPress written review blog days. It's like, this film's got a lot of potential, it's got a really good idea, I just don't think they quite got all the elements developed to the most effective way of executing that idea. So Urban Legend has always been that type of thing. I've got the DVD from way back or whatnot, and it was like, it's got a great cast, really, really nice stuff. Daniel Harris is in it. So there's good stuff, but it's like it never really got all the way where it needed to. But Valentine, I felt like it really got a lot further along with it. I felt like Jamie Blank's director got a better handle on things and delivered a better slasher film with this movie. And the other thing I grabbed was not part of that stack there. There was, the third film in this thing was Silent Night, Deadly Night. Just trying to figure out what other things were in that package. So that one's already out as a commentary. Indulge with it. But those will be coming up in the rotation because Valentine will be a commentary for Valentine's Day between Steve and I. We'll get that done and put it out and stuff like that. So I lent my DVD copy to Steve so he can refresh himself on the film ahead of whenever we get to that in about maybe over a month's time. Who knows? We're trying to figure out schedule for things in the near future. But regardless of that, we have other stuff going on here. They got something from Shout Select. It's all kind of out of order from when I got things, I think. But who cares? Keeping with the Shout Factory, Screen Factory stuff, I did grab up a Ridley Scott film called Someone to Watch Over Me. And this is one of those films in the mid-'80s where he wasn't getting hits. Like Blade Runner didn't become a hit, and then he had Legend, and then he had this film. It wasn't until Black Rain where he got a financially and critically successful film to his credit. And this is basically just a very much a romantic cop thriller. Where you got Tom Berenger, he's this New York detective who is charged with protecting this high-end socialite who is a witness to a mob hit. The guy doing the mob hit was Andreas Katsoulis, the one-armed man from Fugitive later on. He was awesome. He's fantastic as a heavy and stuff like that. So I did review this like back in 2012 on the WordPress blog, and I had a really good reaction to the whole film. I thought it was, again, Ridley Scott films are always gorgeously shot, but I thought there was a lot of good qualities, a lot of admirable traits about the whole film. So this kept being on my radar. And over Black Friday weekend, it went on sale for about $10. And it went out of stock. And then it came back in. It's like, okay, well, I'll have it back in stock on this date, but you could order it now for this price. So I jumped on it before I lost it again. So that's one I'm going to have to take the time to revisit. And they got a new interview with the writer and the cinematographer on this whole thing. So that'd be kind of interesting. It's a nice thing. And like, here's a talk about Ridley Scott's cinematographer. That'd be very interesting to hear about that stuff. So cool stuff there. And a couple other stuff I grabbed up from Bull Moose because I was looking around for some stuff here and there, and I need to get up to their $35 free shipping level there. I wanted to get that because there's kind of a weird thing where I had a couple different things in the cart, but they're going to be like charging me to ship each item individually, and that seemed kind of strange and whatnot, so I kind of kept fumbling around trying to find something here and there. One of those things was an upgrade from my old DVD where I did a review of this film in 2014 on the channel here was Solomon Kane. This whole film that is a adaptation of the Robert E. Howard character. Created Conan the Barbarian and Cole the Conqueror, stuff like that. Portrayed by James Purefoy. And I did the review of this thing. I thought it was really good. It did have some minor critiques to it and whatnot, but I got kind of sparked off on this film again a couple of weeks ago where I was on Twitter, and I think it was Robert Cargill, screenwriter or whatnot. He works with Scott Derrickson and all these wonderful films that he does, and he was kind of mentioning something as like Solomon Kane. I think Solomon Kane is like a Thanksgiving movie because he's got guys out there, kind of the pilgrim hats, stuff like that. And so that guy got me starting around in my thoughts again. So it was a cheap pickup from them. And definitely recommend checking it out. Definitely check it out because it's got the kind of sword and sorcery stuff and kind of interesting redemption story in there and all these different cool type of things. And it's a really cool film in a certain way. But I haven't watched it since I did the review, so I want to get that back into my circulation and then kind of think about it again. And I upgraded my old DVD copy of Once Upon a Time in Mexico from Robert Rodriguez. And not like I'm intending to do a review on it or anything like that, but I got like, I was looking around for stuff and kind of like looking at my DVD collection. Why can I upgrade this? Seems kind of interesting. And yeah, another one I haven't watched in a really long time, but I've had a poster up here on the wall since I moved into this place. It sits up there all the time. I've had that poster since 2003. And so, like, yeah, I'll upgrade this because it was all shot in HD back in that day. And so it should really look nice. A nice clean digital photography to digital transfer. Should look really nice on HD. So I thought that was a really good get. And I'll indulge in it. It's like one of those films, like, I really liked it when it came out. Didn't really revisit a whole lot, but it's like there's really cool elements to the whole film where I do feel like Robert Rodriguez was really trying to push it with a lot of subplots and a lot of big things, trying to make it a very big film. And like, I don't think it all completely is successful, but it's still a very entertaining movie. A lot of good performances and cool action sequences, stuff like that. So it's like, it's an interesting trilogy. I'm sure most everyone would say El Mariachi is the superior film of all three of those movies, but regardless of that, I did Desperado as a review a couple years ago, and you can check that out if you're interested. But he's brought up doing a commentary for Jurassic Park, maybe twice on 2 different commentaries, and so I had the old Trilogy DVD pack. I figured, yeah, sure, what not. It was like $14 from Bull Moose. I already have the digital copy, so it doesn't matter if I get it used. So I just grabbed the Trilogy pack to get like a lateral upgrade, if that's even a thing there. But the same release, just up on the higher format there, so didn't lose anything in that regard. And I could have gotten the other things, but I never watched the Jurassic World movies, and I just had no interest. And I felt like, yeah, I could just do with like a single release of just the original film, but whatever. I just kind of prefer that lateral movement in a certain way across the formats, so I don't lose anything getting this, and I gain a little something in the process there. So there's that, and the commentary that we are doing for New Year's Eve is kind of closing off a little thing with our talk about the originals versus remakes this year, and we did John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13 earlier this year, and so since the film does take place on New Year's Eve, we are covering the remake of Assault on Precinct 13. Already have this on DVD from way back when it first came out. But again, as we do the commentaries, I like to have the best quality version we can get under certain circumstances, like Texas Chainsaw Next Generation. I ain't paying $30 for that shit. The garbage movie. I already sold that DVD off months ago. But regardless, I just wanted to get that off, and it's like, it's a good commentary. We had a fun time with it. Some things here and there, but it's like we had an interesting exploration of how this stacked up and kind of changed a few elements here and there and kind of compare and contrast the 2 different versions from how their approaches were and stuff like that, and the alterations to the story here and there, and how it kind of kept some things a little bit more intact from the original Carpenter film. So it'll be a really nice thing. We'll be dropping that on YouTube on the 31st of December, so you guys can enjoy that. And let's get into, as we transition a tad bit here and there, I'm going to save the big thing for last. I want to talk a little retro video series, and we can swing back around. But I've been kind of batting around and kind of working partially on this whole thing, where it's like, not the usual thing I'm going to do with the retro video series, but I was like thinking about David Fincher's Seven. I know this is a film that's easily available. It's not one of those things where I focus on a film that's difficult to find on certain formats, but it is a film that keeps altering itself in a visual style from one release to the next. Now I have the Laserdisc version, I've got the Blu-ray version. I had to repurchase because I have the Blu-ray version, this nice 3-pack here. And when I got that, I eventually sold out the DVD version from the Platinum Series New Line disc, but I had to rebuy it. I had to go back and find the copy again. Basically, each one of these versions have been graded in a different fashion. The Laserdisc was done much more closer to the original theatrical bleach bypass process. The DVD version did a complete digital color grading version. And then the Blu-ray went off and did another digital color grading on the whole film with a new scan and stuff like that, or whatever the hell it was. It's a very complicated thing, and the film is so known for having a particular look and style that was very influential across the entire sort of crime genre, or the serial killer thrillers. Very influential on how it looked, how it felt, and the fact that it keeps altering how it looks every time they put it out on a new format is kind of an interesting thing to explore. So I did start shooting most of an actual video weeks ago, but kind of got to the end of the thing and I felt like I'm just kind of reciting a lot of technical jargon and just giving it like a technical rundown. I'm not talking as much about how the film looks and feels. So I felt like shut down, kind of reassess things, go back and start comparing the all three different versions to get much more of a stronger sense of what to really say in the video. So I still have all the original footage, but I want to kind of like go back and rework what I want to say and how I want to say it. So I do have to kind of explain how each version came to be, what they did with the mastering and the grading, stuff like that, how it came to look the way it is on this different release. But there's a lot of things to say about the artistic intent, how that feels and how that conveys to the audience and how it changes how the film basically is represented. So that's something to get into, and that's something that's kind of stirring around. I've got like I finally got the Laserdisc footage transferred onto the computer. I finally captured that yesterday when I kind of fell off and didn't have much else to do when the Tombstone thing flew off the rails. So there was that. And so that's still kind of, I don't know when that's going to hit, because it's kind of a complicated type of thing, how I'm trying to figure out what to say and kind of pare things down and figure all that out. I keep wanting to do the retro video series episode of Michael Mann's The Keep, but the DVD version went up like another $5 on Amazon. Like it's now $24 when it was originally released, it was about like $15. They keep jacking up the price for some reason. I can try looking it up right now if I want. See if I can look that up on my Amazon list here or whatnot. But man, I'm not, for bare bones DVD and whatnot, I'm not paying that kind of money. It just seems kind of silly to me. And I don't know where it is on my list because they jumbled my list up on this goddamn fucking thing here or whatnot. But anyway, here, there, or whatnot. I don't know. So I want to get to that. I really want to, because it's kind of the perfect film to define this sort of series. So I want to get a little bit more uniformity of what I'm talking about with the series and have these kind of occasional diversions for stuff like Seven or stuff like that to talk about a technical difference in these different releases and stuff like that. So it's a kind of a thing I'm batting around. Once that price gets to someplace I feel it's more reasonable, it'd be a lot easier to kind of dig into it and figure out what I want to do with it and stuff like that, because it's just very interesting. I keep trying to find where the hell this stupid thing went on my goddamn list here. I don't know. But the hell with it. So, the big thing I have over here that I just bought today, because obviously I've upgraded a lot of stuff lately, and I had a little big stack of DVDs and a couple other Blu-rays that I kind of changed over to different versions or stuff like that. Kind of upgraded to more expanded sets, stuff like that. So I had this entire stack of friggin' stuff, like yay high. It barely fit in the bag I had to go into the disc replay resale shop to sell them off so I can get some store credit to knock down the price of what I bought over here. Because I bought a Laserdisc set for the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition. They had this for $39.99. I walked out paying just over $11 for it. Can't fucking get better than that. There's no getting better than that. And they did have the definitive collection Laserdisc set, but it was $80. I'd seen it at another store about 15 months ago for $60, and it's like, the one thing is like, okay, the only thing I need the definitive collection for are the bonus features, because I already have those exact same transfers on the limited edition DVD sets they put out in 2006, and the VHS set, which I have sitting up here, which I've had for ages. So it's like, I don't really need the transfers. I know I have those transfers on other formats. I don't really need to see those versions. And the audio isn't going to give me a whole lot of difference in what I already have. Obviously, upgrade from the VHS, but the DVD versions would be just fairly the same in a certain way. But I hear like the bonus features are a little bit sparse or not super meaty. And I do have a friend or two that I could probably tap if I needed to have any of that for a certain video I want to do later on, because I do want to do a video once I can get all the versions necessary to start the series I do want to do a series in the retro video series, sort of a mini series within the main series on these releases, because obviously the original theatrical versions are a very story type of thing where they've been kind of suppressed, and so it's very difficult to find a commercially available high quality version of the original theatrical cuts. And that kind of also feeds into the 97 special editions, because when they came to DVD there were more changes added. So there's definitely did new sound further altering of the sound mixes, further CGI alterations and a few other things here and there, just like they made further changes to it, swapped out voices and other different things. It's like they made further things that I think made it lesser again, where I was getting into a little bit, following a couple folks on Twitter or whatnot. They were kind of like, one of them was saying that the 97 special edition of Empire is the best version of that film. That's not me saying it. Someone on Twitter said that. And so I got into a little thing about, okay, let me throw in my VHS copy of it, which looked really, really, really bad on HDTV. It really doesn't look good at all, man. But I threw it on. I was kind of like, okay, I got to kind of feel, but I was really tired. It's like, I would really need to see it in a better quality and stuff like that. So here we land. Before I go into a big, long, rambling story about other things, now I have this. And let me just walk you through a little bit, because we got this wonderful slipcase. The little logos down below. Then we got this nice little simple jacket with the Drew Struzan poster artwork here, where I got the one for New Hope up there. I kind of want to get the one for Empire as the actual poster, but I read all these liner notes that are basically just saying, hey, this is what we did to do the remasters, and the new CGI and new additions to the whole thing, the THX stuff, the Skywalker sound, the ILM stuff. It's a basic, simple rundown, everything in nice, high-quality photos and stuff like that here and there. And then just all the chapter listings on the back with the... You have a few bonus features. You have the special edition trailers for all three films. Then they have specific featurettes on this whole thing, talking about the remastering process, how they did the new additions in the digital technology, the new CGI stuff. So there's certain things on here that have not been ported over to later releases. They were not put on the DVDs. They're not on the Blu-rays. I researched it thoroughly. They do not have this stuff on it. So that was a very specific thing I wanted to get, because I don't have that. Because when the special editions were originally released on VHS, the day they came out, I was going to go out and buy it myself as the widescreen versions, but my mom came home from work and already bought me, or I don't have the full slipcover thing here, but she bought me the pan and scan versions. And so I took it as a gift, didn't have any problem with it. But I do remember actually going out to a local rental store and actually renting the widescreen versions, which did have those featurettes on it. The pan scans did not. They had the featurettes and they had the trailers on the widescreen versions, but not on this version. But back in, I think, 2000, they re-released these things back on VHS and stuff like that. Did not have that stuff on it, but did have a preview for episode 2. And so I finally got, this was my first version of this trilogy in widescreen, at all period. Everything I had before this was pan and scan, so I remember going out specifically and buying the widescreen version on VHS. But as things go, Laserdisc has superior quality. The audio is not even a question, because obviously this is the only AC3 5.1 Dolby Digital surround sound mix released on this format for Star Wars. The entire trilogy. Everything else was either stereo or Dolby surround. It would be a matrix. Then you can use your Dolby Pro Logic settings on your receiver to kind of get a kind of a Fox surround sound experience. But this was the specific discrete channels built into the entire mix of the disc, so you could access that. But I don't have a player that has that sort of setup. It doesn't have the RF AC3 output, but I can still enjoy just the digital sound regardless through the RCA connectors. I can still get something out of it. But regardless, so as I stumble over my words incessantly here, it's really nice packaging. Nice solid slip covers here, stuff like that. The discs have all been put together in a really nice fashion here with the good old logo right there in the middle there with Vader and stuff like that. So most of them are CLV, the longer runtime formats, but the basically the sort of climaxes, the final acts of each one of these films is put on a CAV disc side, so you can get better picture quality, stuff like that, in the final runtime of the film. And also like the trailers, stuff like that would be added on post the film after the end credits. So I did pop in Empire to check out a little bit of the trailers, stuff like that. It did look really good. Now the restoration isn't quite perfect in the regard of like, okay, there's still a couple speckles, stuff like that in here. They didn't go and like paint out everything like they would today to kind of like remove all the little scratches and all the little things on the entire thing. But it was very nice. It's probably the best quality picture and audio quality you can get for the trilogy on the format. Now, aside from like two little things in the special edition of Empire, first where Luke kind of throws himself off the sort of weather vane in Cloud City after Vader kind of corners him, and they add in this bad scream that he has falling down the chasm, or I think it was kind of recycled from Palpatine's scream getting thrown down the Death Star sort of tunnel or whatnot there. That is kind of annoying. No one really liked that, and they kind of reneged on the whole thing when they put it out on DVD and Blu-ray. And the whole thing where they kind of changed Vader's line, where before it was just like this kind of mean grumbling sort of bring my shuttle type of thing. I really never liked how they changed that line to like alert my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival, and the whole thing of intercutting between the Millennium Falcon going back and trying to save Luke off the bottom of Cloud City there, and interspersing Vader's flight back to the Star Destroyer. Kind of ruins the momentum here and there, but everything else is pretty goddamn good. Nothing else really is objectionable in how they kind of add little things here and there. Certainly, I do kind of prefer the original versions, but I don't have any real objection to anything else they put into the special edition for the 97 release. 04, when they changed Boba Fett's voice and made Tamara Morrison instead of Jason Wingreen, I just never liked it. Never liked how Morrison delivered those lines. It just felt like he did it on like a 5-minute coffee break and didn't really give any sense of character to it or anything like that. Felt very flat delivery of those lines, and it really irritates me to this day how he did that. And so, just regardless, the 97 special edition is a very interesting type of thing, where it was like there's some objectionable stuff, but they didn't do, it's not as bad as they kept tinkering with it over the years and making certain things a lot worse from a certain perspective, as you would say. But I don't have anything beyond the 2004 versions. I don't have any of the Blu-rays, none of the UHD. I've been thinking about, because there's another thing I want to kind of do with Star Wars maybe at some point. And that'd be something maybe exploring the evolution of how the visual effects for the trilogy evolved from one film to the next. Kind of an overview of the entire special effects of the entire trilogy. Now, obviously, I'd have to grab a lot of different versions to get different documentaries and snippets of things here and there. But that's something that'd be very far off down the line when I actually have a lot of time to really kind of go into something like that. Now, the Blu-rays do have certain things, but some of those other archival documentaries are actually up on YouTube here in fair enough quality. So it's like, do I really need to get them? I don't know if I need to get them. It's just kind of a weird thing. And they poured over some of the special features from the original Blu-ray set over to the UHDs, but not all of them. It's very, and they put in some new featurettes too. So it's like, it's kind of this weird type of thing. I think I keep grabbing everything. They just can't pour everything into one box set. You can't just put it all in there. Just go hog wild, because people would buy it. I'm sure they'd buy it. But regardless, it's just like, it's complicated. I'm just kind of keeping that a little bit more on the fingertips of things. I don't need that for the retro video series. The retro video series is about the older formats, the versions that were put out in older formats that haven't seen the light of day in the newer high definition age. So all this stuff on Laserdisc has not been seen on a DVD or a Blu-ray So that's what I'm focusing on. If I'm going to get into this series, or this is like the last release I need to cover on the whole thing. I've got the CBS Fox widescreen versions from the US. I'd have to get the goddamn Japanese special collection ones, which I know I can get them, but they're pricey. They're very pricey, and I'd have to do some potential slow boat shipping to get them. As Mr. Sam Hatch, Culture Dog, would say, jump on his channel. I'll throw a link below. Hit up his stuff, and he's done some wonderful stuff to really keep a lot of the Laserdisc talk alive here on YouTube, and wonderful source of information and wonderful passion from him about the entire format. So that's a lot of things. So it's like I know where I can get those versions, but I just have to make sure I'm paying something that I feel okay with, and I'm not breaking the bank, stuff like that. So it's like I'm not gonna go headlong into everything right now. I'm just kind of feeling things out from one month to the next, see where I go. But regardless, guys, that's something that is on the horizon to eventually do. But I do want to get some other traction going in the retro video series before I jump into that. So that's a lot of things to talk about there. So that's wonderful stuff. $11 and change. Goddamn. I was like, I got the store credits of the cash because of that, so I got even more. I waited around for like an hour and a half in the store because they just got really busy, and they kind of threw on an extra couple bucks for me being patient and not bothering them and stuff like that about them being tied up and not getting things done quickly. So that was great, and like I said, I don't really need the definitive collection. It would be nice to kind of have as a display piece type of thing, but I'll never get it for a real dirt cheap price. It's just not going to happen. It's like I really don't need it. I don't need it to do the video. I can always tap a certain someone to get me some footage, to do a comparison between the different releases if I need to. It's not a big thing. I don't even really think I need the later versions that were called the THX Faces ones, where basically the same transfers put on the CLV versions and just put out without any like major bonus features or whatnot. I think there was like interview with like Leonard Bolt at the head of each one of them, which are also on my VHS copies, so it's not a big get. And they put those I know they put those interviews up on the Star Wars YouTube channel a long ass time ago, maybe like 6 years ago, something like that. So not difficult things to come by, and I just gotta pace myself and figure out where I'm going. But we'll get a review for Tombstone starting working on it next week when the new DVD gets in my hands, and make sure that it actually works and I can watch it and get on with that. So this week I'm just going to work at a little bit tinkering here and there and not do a whole lot of heavy stuff. So that's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm going to bow out here, guys, and hopefully you guys are having a very safe time with things and taking care of each other in a very respectful and safe manner. So guys, thanks much for a very interesting and very, very big year for the channel here, because we've grown a whole hell of a lot. We've gone over 8,000 subscribers now. It is a lot of stuff. They've built up a whole lot of traction on this channel for certain things. Sometimes the views don't kind of reflect that as much. I could break that down to a lot of weird shit with fucking YouTube, where they just fuck around with a lot of bullshit with algorithms and weird kind of shit in here and there. Just like, I don't know what anything goes on here on YouTube. Just I make the videos, I post them, I promote them, and we'll just see where things go. So that's all I can go with. I can't really figure all this stuff. I don't look at analytics. If I looked at analytics, it would drive me down a friggin'... It would just do bad things to me if I start looking at analytics about what happens here and how this thing happens and where the watch times on videos. Like, it would drive me fucking crazy. It would drive me crazy and put me in a really bad spot, so I don't look at any of that shit. But you guys have been watching stuff a lot more. There's been a lot more ad revenue generated for the channel here, which is a very positive thing, which allows me a little something to recycle back into the production costs of everything here. As I said, the last couple months I had some hardware failures that I had to kind of deal with, and some software stuff as well. So that kind of helps in the long run. Also keeps a lot of the stuff flowing in, all these discs, so I can still plan out commentaries and reviews, stuff like that, and hopefully get the retro video series back up on top of things where I need to get it, because it's been too long since the last episode. I need to get something up out of there, but it has to be of good quality. So that's the big thing. and that takes time. So that's good stuff. So guys, thanks so much. Take care. Stay well. Bye-bye.